Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home, and today I want to talk about why the 4K market is really struggling to pick up steam in the same way that Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS did. So if we look at physical media as a whole, we all know that sales of DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4K UHD discs have been down over the last several years. This is not a new trend. They have been consistently shrinking as digital channels and streaming services and video on demand become more and more popular. But with the shrinking of the market, we still see DVD and Blu-ray continuing to sell fairly well, and the 4K UHD format, even after 7-8 years of it being available now, still struggles to crack 10% of the market even on a good week. So why is that? So I was really curious and I had my own thoughts, but before I did this, I reached out to all of you guys across different social media platforms and I asked this question, if you haven't upgraded yet to 4K, what is it that is stopping you? Because I wanted to hear from you guys, from the collectors out there, because you'd be the first ones to upgrade to the format. So if it's stopping you, then we can assume that it's also stopping the mainstream consumer and is making it even harder for just the average person to get into this world of 4K and support this new format. So one major theme that kept coming up was cost, and I totally agree with that, although it's not necessarily the cost of the discs, it's the cost of the equipment. Now, this has always been true for new formats. Like the first VHS players were crazy money, the first DVD players crazy money, the first Blu-ray players, people were spending thousands of dollars on those. And then as the years went on, we had more manufacturers step into the game, more DVD, more Blu-ray players were produced. I mean, at this point you can pretty much get a Blu-ray player on Black Friday for like $30 or $40, and on any given day you can walk into like a Target or a Walmart and they'll probably have some low-end Blu-ray player for 1080p Blu-rays that's like 50 or 60 bucks. Like very rarely do you see them get over $100. So at that price point, it's a pretty easy format to get into, plus it plays DVDs. So it makes sense. $50, that's nothing for a new player. And if we look at the discs, DVDs, yeah, you can get them for like $1, but a new release DVD is going to be like 15 to 17 bucks. A Blu-ray is 20 to 23 and a 4K disc is like 23 to 27. There's not a huge price difference there. We're talking about just a few dollars. The real reason when it comes down to cost that people are having a hard time getting into 4K is because it's the cost of the players and it's the cost of the equipment. Even your lower end 4K players still routinely sell for over $200 8 years into this format. And if you want some of the better players, the ones that I would recommend, you're looking at $300, $400, $500 plus just to be able to play the discs. So for a lot of people out there, that is prohibitively expensive, especially when you can get a DVD player for $5 or you can get a Blu-ray player for $30 or $40. $500 on a player? That is asking a lot. Now, outside of cost, the other reason people haven't upgraded yet is because they don't have a reason to upgrade, and I also totally understand that. The 1080p Blu-ray format is a really good format, and there are lots of films that just really won't benefit much from 4K. Even some of my favorites, some of my horror films out there that I have on 1080p Blu-ray, I have a hard time justifying the cost to go to 4K because they already look really good. They're kind of gritty horror movies. Do I really need to see them in 4K? Sometimes my answer is no, and so I can totally see why even the average consumer, for something like Top Gun Maverick, I'd love for you to watch it in 4K, but that 1080p Blu-ray disc with the Dolby Atmos sound, that's going to pretty much be good enough for most people. And a lot of people still buy DVDs because they honestly just don't see the difference. And I find that harder to believe with DVD and Blu-ray, but you could totally convince me that you can't see the difference between Blu-ray and 4K because unless it's an excellent restoration of an older movie, I just talked about this on a podcast episode, but Knock at the Cabin, a new 4K release, that looks 99% the same on Blu-ray, and so I understand why people don't buy that on 4K. And even to watch that movie on DVD doesn't dramatically change your experience of watching the movie because it's not this big, visually interesting movie. And at this point in time, where TV technology has gotten so much better, and honestly, the technology has slowed down with like how fast it changes, I mean, there's lots of you out there who probably still have TVs that are 1080p, that are 10 years old, especially if you got plasma TVs, that honestly will still look better than some of the cheaper 4K TVs. So if you want that big plasma 1080p type experience of a very high-end TV, you have to spend $1,500 to $2,000 plus on a new set. And for a lot of you, and I totally get this, it comes down to cost again, and it's not really worth it because you're having a really good experience watching 1080p Blu-rays on your plasma screen or on your high-end LED, and you honestly just can't see the benefit. Now, most of you said if your TV was to completely shut down and break, or you needed to reinvest in a completely new system for whatever reason, that you would go to 4K, but that's more just out of necessity because that's really all that's available in stores. For the time being, a lot of you are very happy with your 1080p TVs, and I totally get it. I still have several of them in my house. I watch Blu-rays on them from time to time, and they do still look fantastic, especially compared to what we were used to growing up with Laserdisc, VHS, and DVD. The 1080p format is still a very, very good format. And with the technology, I sort of see that there's like diminishing returns too. Like, I liken this, I think I said this on Twitter, but like if you had a Nokia brick phone and then you got a new Motorola Razr and then you got a BlackBerry and then you got an iPhone and then you got an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 12, at this point, the diminishing returns there are pretty serious. The Nokia to the Razr, pretty decent. Razr up to BlackBerry, big deal. Smartphone to iPhone, big deal. iPhone 8, that was a big step up. But iPhone 8 to iPhone 12, does it dramatically change? Some of the camera stuff does. Some of the real geeky tech stuff does. iPhone 12 to iPhone 14 or iPhone 15, does it change that much? There starts to be diminishing returns, and I think that's what you're seeing. And the reason some people are holding off on 4K is like from VHS to DVD, massive improvement, plus special features, all kinds of interactive things. DVD to Blu-ray, massive picture quality improvement, massive audio improvement, all kinds of new features, extra space on the discs. Blu-ray to 4K, honestly, minor visual improvements. A lot of times, they have the same audio tracks. A lot of times, they have the same features. So it's just not as big a difference as going from a Nokia brick phone up to a BlackBerry or a new iPhone as DVD and VHS were. But it's more like going from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone 14. They're both still great, and a lot of people would be perfectly fine with the iPhone 12, and they don't see the need to go out and spend more money to upgrade for that minimal change in experience. And I think the last part of all of this, to break everything down, is just a general lack of education, and I think that's because the market has shrunk and there aren't as many people out there educating on the differences of this format because they are sort of technical in scope, right? When you went from VHS to DVD, there were obvious differences. Yeah, there was resolution and there was sound, but they marketed the hell out of the DVD format with the higher quality picture, the higher quality sound, special features, interactive disc menus, all kinds of stuff. Pop it in your computer. You can play like PC games off of the DVD. Like they did all these crazy things. And when Blu-ray came out, it was the same thing. It's high definition, which was a huge buzzword. HD video, HD audio, all the extra features, the best your movies have ever looked. When they came to 4K, they sort of did that again, but when you've already marketed high definition, ultra high definition sort of doesn't have the same ring to it, right? People are already used to high definition. People still call these things 4K DVDs many times, even people who do buy them. So they don't understand, and now you're getting into HDR and you're getting into, the high dynamic range and the wider color gamut and stuff that people they tune out. Does the movie look great or not? Yeah, it looks great, but it also looks great on Blu-ray. Oh, okay. I don't need to upgrade that. I'm sticking with my Blu-ray. These terms HDR, these terms like Dolby Atmos and spatial sound and all this stuff that has been brought to this format, much of which isn't exclusive to the 4K format. You can get Atmos sound on a Blu-ray, but all these technical things and 4 times the resolution, but if you show people, they can't see. It's not like it's 4 times clearer. Those diminishing returns and the lack of education on the real benefits of the format when it comes to like compression and bit rates and color, that's where it's lacking because it almost gets too technical. It's above most people's heads. It was above my head when I started. It's above most people's heads today. They don't want to have to learn and think too much about the technology. And then with all the cost that comes with investing in new tech, learning new tech, redoing your whole home theater, especially if you just redid something in the last 10, 15 years to go to high definition, there's a lot of reasons why 4K isn't taking off, but I do think that some more education in the market could help a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not sure you're going to convince many people to jump to this format. So if that's the case, like, what is this format? How long a life does it have? And that's what I found interesting, was that almost all of you out there said, I'm sort of just waiting for 4K to get cheaper. I'm sort of just waiting for it to be more available. I'm waiting for them to figure out, are the players going to get cheaper? Are they going to be more reliable? Because there are not a lot of reliable players out there that don't skip or have issues or freeze on discs. And I get that. And it's a shame that 8 years into the format, we don't have that. But the format, although it's 8 years old, I think has really hit its stride just over the last couple of years. And we've seen a few new 4K player manufacturers jump into the game. We do now have PS5, which has a 4K player built in. As those become more widely available and people realize, oh, I have a 4K player in my PS5, I have a 4K player in my Xbox, I think that maybe just by chance, as they upgrade their 4K TVs for gaming, then they may see the benefits to a disc. They may buy more discs, but I think this is going to be a very slow process. And 4K is going to be a niche market. It's a collector's market. It's a high-end enthusiast market. But as those people start to turn over and 1080p TVs give out, they eventually die. They get too old. Firmware dies out, software dies out. People slowly, each year, we're seeing more and more and more people buy 4K TVs, up to the point where now almost half of the households in the US have a 4K TV. Slowly, more PlayStation 5s get out there, which I think is still the most widely available 4K player on the market, and it's expensive. But if prices come down, if players get down to $100 to $150, if you can start to educate some more people, if there are more titles out there, because we're still very limited with how many titles there are, it's never going to sell as well as DVD and Blu-ray when there's only 2 or 3 new titles every week and only roughly 800 to 1,000 on the market compared to tens of thousands on other formats. At the end of the day, though, we should just be happy that people are buying physical media, period, because whatever format they're buying it on supports the whole industry. And it is a billion-dollar industry, but it's shrinking. And so whether you're buying a DVD or a Blu-ray or 4K, I'm not going to gatekeep you. Nobody else should. I hate the response of, I'm not buying that because it's not a 4K. I refuse to buy anything that's not 4K. You're going to miss a lot of great content if you only buy 4K discs. So this is to say that, continue to support the 4K format if you want to. But all of you guys out there who are collectors, and even if you still got your 1080p plasma TV from 15 years ago, if it's rocking for you and it's working well and you're enjoying it and you're buying 1080p Blu-ray, love you all the same as everyone who buys all the 4K discs, because you're supporting physical media, and that's truly what matters at the end of all of this. Those are my thoughts. A lot of you guys have asked me, especially as I've done these sort of sales breakdowns and you see the percentages and you're like, what's going on? Why are people buying DVDs? Why are they still buying Blu-ray if there's a 4K release? Like, this is what you guys as a community told me. This is what the research tells me that I've done for this video. Like, this is what I'm hearing. So those are my thoughts. I put it all together. Hopefully this helps make sense of some of it and where the roadblocks are for 4K. But I do think it still has a fairly bright future and plenty of life left in it. So thank you for watching. If you want more videos like this on physical media, home theater, home entertainment, Blu-ray, 4K, DVD, collecting, all that fun stuff, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube so you never miss a video. Like the video if you enjoyed the content so that others can see it and we start to spread the word. And of course, follow me on social media. All those links are in the description, as well as links to the Films at Home podcast, where you can get some longer form interviews and content from me, both in an audio format and right here on YouTube. So thank you for all your support. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and I will talk to you guys soon.